What?
That'll do it, right?
And we're back. All right, so we got an eventful night happening tonight. Let's change up the music a little bit. Something more festive for the evening.
Yeah, it should be nice and happy. Nothing can go wrong.
Let's see.
Yeah, I don't even know why we're like going back to this dude's house. Like, what do you think you're gonna gain?
I don't know. I have nothing else to do. What do you want to do?
I don't know.
Then shut your mouth, Elizabeth.
For her
We
date?
could sit around and shove our brains together and figure out this case instead of go harassing our fucking.
Hush now, Elizabeth.
Person.
Follow me. Take notes.
What the hell was that?
That's not the music you're trying to go for?
It is definitely not.
It was a good
I didn't
sound
know it was
after
playing.
my comment, though.
I'm really annoyed. The music that I want to play is not working.
It was Val Venus's theme.
That's why I thought it sounded familiar.
Yeah, one of my mom's favorite wrestlers. As she
Not a
told me when I was a
surprise there.
child. Him and Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Not something I'd really want to know about your mom either, so thanks.
Neither did I at the time when he was relevant on TV.
Nope, I cannot.
While you're looking for that, Elizabeth,
Thank
if
you.
we do come across those goblins, perhaps we should interrogate them. It sounds like that, or I don't know if Ryan's character would have told us that like he knows that the one goblin is like rare to have ascended to that rank or whatever.
Yeah, I would have brought it up if we were all still together at the time. Yeah, because we were.
Well,
I think
we were
could roll.
collaborating as far as we were like sharing what we had learned. So I would assume we brought up the goblin.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the goblins are hanging around that area, which seems like they do, those ruffians, perhaps we give them a taste of their own medicine, and after we give
We're
them
gonna
one,
beat up some goblins.
if they bother us, then we have probable cause, and then we can ask some questions.
Yes, let's continue to put down the disenfranchised.
Do not
I said
resist.
if they mess with us. No, we don't have to go.
I'm walking
like, seek them out.
with my line of sight.
Yeah,
Do not
exactly. No.
resist. Why are you resisting?
No, I'm just saying we're going there for a chat with our friend, and if they bother us, we can just use that opportunity to.
Hey, you're loitering.
Exactly. I just learned today that loitering is illegal. So
I'd like to remind you that we're not cops. So...
I know this, Elizabeth, but we do have some
Hey,
authority.
I'm pretty sure
But they're dumb goblins. They don't know that.
defense.
We have the right to defend ourselves should they attack.
Severely
Yeah,
annoyed.
but I'm saying you can't provoke them and then
I'm
be
not
like,
going
"It
to
was
provoke them,
self-defense."
Elizabeth.
Yeah, I don't trust you. You
Right,
can
don't
defend
trust
yourself.
me? You don't have to come, Elizabeth. I can handle myself.
No, you can't. Obviously, you got chased out of town by 10 goblins.
I didn't
Yeah,
tell you that. Who's telling you these stories of the great Gulron running from goblins?
The knight was
I
telling
said
you.
they accosted me and I fled.
Mm-hmm.
I tactically retreated.
The knight was telling her that.
The streets at night. You guys, by the way, are fantastic at times. At other times, I'm like, please don't.
Please don't.
All right, so two of you head out to Nico. One of you heads on a wonderful evening, and one of you is gonna spend some time alone looking at books and getting excited by them.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that, and one of you is going on a date.
So,
When she tells us this, there's no reason to suspect she could be in danger or anything, right?
no.
Okay.
There's nothing about this that seems... I mean, this is somebody who's, like, well-to-do as a private investigator, so there's not really a reason to believe that he's going to put her in any danger.
Okay, as long as she's not saying anything about it, I don't think.
Yeah, this is a very wealthy company that's made a decision to hire this person. They're not going to hire, like, just anybody.
If you'd like, I could give you some detailed information about his background. Perhaps.
Oh, really?
Is he local?
He is. Do you want to do that for her? Oh,
Damn it.
that's still pretty
That's our
good.
third not one this session.
That is still pretty good, though. So you can find out that, like, he is a very well-known investigator. He's not failed very many cases. In the cases that he did fail, like, in the beginning of them, he said, like, I probably shouldn't take this case, but I can't not try to, like, accomplish something difficult.
Thank you for the heads up, buddy.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
I'm sure, like, he feels, Antaeus probably feels very disappointed, and, like, that being all the information he can find on this guy. He's like, yeah, I found, like, the basic shit that you could find in an advertisement.
I feel off today. Something must be wrong.
Well, perhaps you should have some soup, go to bed, you know, rub yourself with some healing balms. Don't forget to take care of yourself, Antaeus. We don't want to lose you either.
Oh, I'm going to. I'm going to go read and learn more information about this goblin. Hopefully.
I appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna cut to, I think, the dinner last, or at least we'll cut in between that and some of what Antaeus is doing. So,
Sounds good.
Gulran and Elizabeth, you arrive at the home of Nico. It is a delightfully beautiful night. The moon is at a good point in the sky, reflecting just the right amount of light back down on the city. The city has some very interesting things set up in the evening. There are these little gems that exist at certain points on top of some of the buildings, and they take the light as it comes down from the moon and kind of refract it to create like little pools of lighting upon the street. There are little like accent sconces that have continual flames that glow and brighten up the various parts of the street. That is until you reach the bridge that crosses into the other half of the city. On the other side of the bridge, a lot of that luster starts to go away. There is minimal light, only the few places that might have been able to afford a continual flame, or the places that might pay a lamplighter to come around and light a torch here and there out in the yard. Or maybe some of them themselves have like thrown a few sticks or whatever they could find into a fire and light it to keep warm in the evening. It's usually the nights are fairly like reasonable in temperature, usually never exceeding about 80. In the evenings tend to get down sometimes to the upper 40s, lower 50s. So it's a cool, bit of a chilly night tonight as you make your way to the home of Nico van Hoddem. Along the way, you are unaccosted.
Excellent.
And you knock at the door. Who's doing the knocking?
Is all fucking Gulran. I'm just
All right.
over here like trying to keep him from making an ass of himself.
The door opens, and Nico looks very surprised to see what is on the other side. I did not expect you.
Yes. Just came to apologize for our last encounter. I think we got off on the wrong foot. Why does he look weird or surprised?
Yeah, he looks surprised.
Okay.
It's not often I see anyone apologize, especially not at this hour of the day. And
Yes, I was around earlier to try and talk to you, but I had seemed to have forgotten that you have a day job. So I just was wondering if it was okay if we took another look at your trap door and asked you a few more questions. We're still investigating, of course. Your missing money, and we're trying to find it.
I guess I could oblige that. Come on
Excellent.
in. Is your smaller friend here?
She is otherwise preoccupied this evening.
I suppose that would be very likely.
Why do you ask?
No reason.
Yes.
My daughter was very enchanted by her, so.
Just your daughter,
Him as well.
eh? I don't say anything, but I just kind of nod and pretend to believe his story. Yes. So if he brings us over to the trapdoor, I'll like look at it. It looks as if I seen it earlier today, right? Nothing new.
Nothing's changed. He has to kind of move the table back to let you in underneath it.
Yeah. So I kind of like stroke my beard, and I say, "Well, you couldn't recall anything about the goblin that crafted this thing for you? Do you happen, after thinking about it for a few days, have you thought of anything new to think about?"
Not really. It was a very long time ago. This has been a long time of putting money aside.
How long ago did you say it was?
I've lost count at this point. It's been.
Would you say around 5 to 6 years?
Probably somewhere in that vicinity.
I don't know if I have like a notepad with me or something. I assume I would, but I'll be like noting this.
I mean, do you have anything paper related on your character sheet?
I do not. But I'm making notes out of character, so.
Okay. You can have picked up something if you want, like a small book.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Small book.
That would have cost you.
I have 0 gold. Was there like one used book at the ministry that I could take, or parchment around?
You could have probably grabbed some parchment. Yeah.
All right, I'll just say bundle of parchment.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm taking notes. So you said probably 5 to 6 years.
Yep.
And I just want to confirm. You said you heard he moved into like testing objects.
Actually, I'm sorry. Thinking about this real quick. I think if everybody wants to, they probably have a journal on hand. That would weigh a pound if you wanted it.
Sure, I'll take one.
I have one with my bard's kit.
Yeah. So I'll just say we
just as I'm sorry. One more thing to clarify. So, with regard to the journal, paper is a very well produced commodity here. It is more like what you would see in our world. It has like lines for writing in. It is very square cut. It is stitched together in a much higher quality fashion than what you might normally expect from what the Pathfinder universe might otherwise lead you to believe.
Okay. Anyway. Yes, Sir Nico, you said this goblin, you heard he had moved into like the testing of objects kind of profession?
Yeah, when I reached out to him a while ago, he told me that he had gotten some new employment. And I asked him about another reference, but he said he wasn't really familiar with a lot of other people in his trade.
How did you reach out to him?
I mean, I met up with him. He used to live around here.
He doesn't live around here anymore?
No. He's done very well for himself, I guess.
Does the company Assurance ring any bells? Did he mention if that was the company he was working for?
No, they're like some big shot company, right? They like prove stuff works. I see their symbol on all kinds of like products here and there. I see it a lot in the sewers too.
You say you see it a lot in the sewers. You say no as if you're for sure he didn't mention that was the company he was working for?
I remember if he said he worked for Assurance. I feel he's probably quite I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that company.
Why is that?
They just gloat about everything. Our results are always perfect. If that was the case, why do so many people throw your shit down the sewers? Quality proven by Assurance. Yep, that's quality right there. The oozes will eat that in the morning.
Do I know if he's like regaling like stuff I've heard, or is this like brand new information? Like what Assurance or shit? Like,
again, give me a knowledge local. A lot of this is like what your brain picks up, and you've been kind of like stuck in the clergy life for a long time, but maybe you picked it up. You don't need. This is basic knowledge, so Just to, you can make the check untrained.
So yeah, as he says, I look to Elizabeth as if to ask her if she's aware of what he's saying.
With an 11, you'd actually be pretty aware of this. Like,
Okay.
both of you would be. Assurance, it doesn't take much to get the assurance label on your product. You just have to have assurance come out and look at your product and give you an estimate for your thing. There are different assurance standards. There's like assurance, silver and assurance gold and assurance emerald. But like most companies will get a base level assurance like sticker they can put on. And it means there's a lot of stuff that does get discarded, like because it's probably, assurance probably came in and said like, oh yeah, this is going to work for 2 weeks. And they're like, excellent, that's exactly how long we want it to work for. Because putting the assurance name on it means people are going to think it's reliable.
And just to cover all the bases, you don't have any suspects of who knew where your money was being kept or who has any grudges against you in this neighborhood?
Otherwise,
perhaps they see your house is well-to-do now and they think they're jealous of your estate?
No, there's a few of us around here that do want to try to keep up things. It's harder for some of us, but I do what I can every once in a while to help people with maintenance and things, to try to make sure people are aware, like, my interest is, while I am interested in caring for my own home, the community means as much to me as my own home does.
Is he being truthful?
Yeah, you get a sense of, like, genuineness about what he says.
It's quite noble of you.
It's not about nobility. It's about trying to make sure that society's going to keep going. A lot of these people don't have an opportunity. Take my buddy next door, been out of work for forever, and it's really hard as an orc to get a job. I mean, he'd never tell you that we talk, but it's rough. He deals with it every day. People coming to collect money from him, and all he's trying to do is get by.
You said he's a well-acquainted friend of yours, or?
We're not well acquainted. I've done a bit of work here and there for him. He's come over and helped me with some lifting from time to time.
Is he aware of where your trapdoor was?
No. I never let him inside. Any work that he's done has been outside.
Oh, I thought you said he was.
No, like I'll need to hammer something up to one of the windows or the walls, or I really wanted to follow that up with Till Sweat, but taking care of the fence work from time to time. He's there here and there, and in exchange I've taken care of some things for him.
It just sounds like you're saying your friend might be a little desperate, and if he noticed where your money was, or if you had mentioned it to him, he might have made poor choices, but it sounds like...
I'm pretty sure we would know if he happened to suddenly come about a windfall of money. He's not particularly good at managing his funds. I know anytime he's gotten a short-term gig, there will be some sort of party, lots of people will be laying around outside, and then it's only but a few days after that he's probably going to be out of work again.
I don't mean to accuse all your friends, but out of character, I don't remember if we showed him that hole last time, but I'll just point him towards that hole in his house, and I'll say, I noticed this earlier when I was investigating the premises, and it seems like someone had a line of sight directly to your where you're keeping your valuables. It's strange that they made a hole right where they would have a view of that. It could be locked.
I'm not sure why. I mean, is there some sort of... If you're here, I'm assuming this has something to do with magic, right?
Well, we did detect some faint traces of magic, of course. Well, sorry, out of character. Where did the knight said he detected magic where?
Around where the thing is, and then you guys discovered some outside of the window.
Yeah, I detected magic.
Outside of the window, and he detected it on the trapdoor?
Yes, around the trapdoor.
Around the trapdoor. Yes, we detected magic around this spot as well as your trapdoor here, so clearly something was magic going on. But yes, you didn't notice anything I just find it odd that there's someone crafted a hole in that you didn't hear anyone banging on your, making this hole, or...
He looks at it. This looks like it was probably done with a knife, right? If I'm asleep, I'm probably not going to hear somebody out there with that. I'm gone for most of the day. And early in the morning, there's almost nobody walking the streets. You know, a lot of people around here tend to be either out by sunrise or don't wake up until usually second sun at the very earliest.
So you think the only people that really knew where your keepsake was yourself and your daughter, most likely, right? No one.
I'm not even sure 100% my daughter knew where it was until it went missing. I try not to put anything in it until late in the evening.
And this hole, you haven't noticed it before? I just pointed this out to you?
No, I've not really done a deep perimeter scan, and it's not very big.
Yes.
Unless I were in here and it were particularly dark in here and particularly light out there, I might not even notice that there's extra light coming through it.
It's quite the case you've given us.
I'm sorry that it's so difficult.
You don't need to apologize. It's just, I wish there was more to go on here. You see, we've been searching quite through, but I think we need to speak to this goblin who crafted your trapdoor, as he's the only other person who knew about this, and it seems odd that someone just randomly made a hole in your house and was the exact spot needed to see what you were doing.
Well, I'm sorry I don't have more information about him, but
there's no need to apologize. I am sorry that we haven't been able to come up with more solid leads on this yet, but I just want you to know that this is one of our top priorities, and we're trying to find this.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Please also do tell Brianna I said hello.
Aye, lad. I will. I kind of look to Elizabeth as if she has anything she wanted to do here.
I'll just kind of shrug. No, back at you. Mm-hmm.
Well, before we leave, I did have a quick question. Those goblins that are around this area, do you know them at all, or do they ever bother you?
Sometimes I hate to use the terms, but there's a bit of a gang of them that wanders about. They really stick together well, at the very least. Good sense of community, I guess you could say.
Do they ever give you problems specifically because maybe they noticed your house is well kept compared to the others?
They give everybody problems. You can't not walk down the street and have them try to accost you. Look, the best thing to do is just ignore them. If they don't feel like you have any money, if they don't really bother you, and around here, they know the people that have money when they have money, and they back down easy enough if you just toss a coin or two on the ground.
Or bully them.
Well,
I ain't giving no goblin my money.
Thank you for your time.
You're a pretty imposing figure, though.
I am.
Well, as long as my colleague Elizabeth here is content with our questions, I think we're ready to leave.
Yeah, you weren't a jerk. We can go. It's all good.
As we're out the door, I want to whisper to Elizabeth, perhaps you should stay far behind me and let these goblins try to attack me if they're foolish enough. I think they may have something to do with this. Doesn't hurt to get some more information.
If that's what you want.
Also, I need to settle the score with them. And I tap my warhammer.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll walk ahead of her.
All right. So the two of you are walking separate. Elizabeth, as you're traveling, a handful of goblins start kind of wandering up next to you. Hey, you're back, lady. How's your friend? She doing pretty good?
Yeah.
I see her leave.
Yeah. He's doing fine. What's it to you?
I noticed she didn't go with you this time. Is it your turn?
Nope, not that kind of business, bud.
Oh, that's a shame. A mountain like you? I know I'd like a climb.
Yeah, such a shame. I'd probably crush you.
You want to put it to the test? I'd be happy to oblige.
If you don't back off, I'm gonna crush you with my shield.
Hi. Hey. Can't knock a boy for trying, right?
I told you last time, I'm not that kind of woman.
I'm not asking
Back
for you to be
off.
that kind. I'm
Oh my
asking
God.
I'm asking you to be this kind.
No, big fat no. Why don't you go fuck with him right up there? He wants a piece of ya.
He looks at him, looks back at you. That's not my type.
I think you're his type. You should go mess with him.
I mean, he's got money? You want me to shake him down? Is that what you're asking about?
No, I'm not asking you to shake him down.
Oh.
You just will probably have better luck getting in his pants than mine.
I'm not interested. Thanks, though. Sad.
Alright, well.
If you're ever around town, I'm around.
Okay. Not interested.
Alright.
See how you're not interested in him? I'm not interested in you.
I think you'll change your mind soon.
Oh, sure.
Just
Sure,
sleep on it. Sleep on it.
Okay, buddy. Keep
Yeah.
telling yourself that.
I think you'll change your mind. He kind
I
of
don't
wanders
think
off.
so. Goron, they didn't harass you. They wanted to fuck me.
My word. You kiss your mother with that mouth?
I don't kiss my mother. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's not nice. You should always show your mother affection.
I did, just not with kissing.
Well, I hope you hug her at least.
When
She has to deal with you for a long time.
Shut your mouth, boy. You're one to talk.
I didn't know my parents. That was rude.
Well, then maybe you shouldn't talk about other people's parents.
All right, let's cut away real quick to Antaeus.
Jesus.
That's a lot of character backstory.
So,
Yeah, I was about to say, like, my mom loved me. I'm like, wait, I was an orphan?
it's a pretty good cut, though. That was a pretty good way that went. I appreciated every bit of that.
Thank you for that, Annie.
Jesus.
So, Antaeus, what are you doing here in the records rooms?
You know, just doing the usual, a little bit of local research and a little bit of drinking, a
little bit of Mardi Gras. No.
Yes, exactly. A little bit of Mardi Gras.
All right.
Everybody loves reading, right?
Everybody who loves rainbows loves reading.
Reading is fun for mentals.
So what are you looking up here?
So there's I mean it's been about 6 years since, or 5 or 6 years as far as we can tell, that dude was a
since he last had done whatever work he's done, it seems like sometime around here he got into the business of doing that, potentially, if these two cases are in fact related.
Oh yeah, if they are related, operating under that assumption. So if they're already more recent, like past 5 to 10 years, or anything like less than 10 years, like any kind of records or any like information on local goblins of any kind of social prominence around that level, that seems to be doing. He seems to be doing well for himself. Well, actually, I don't know if I know that, but
yeah,
anyways.
you don't know whether or not he's doing well for himself.
Yeah, because they found that out when they went and talked to him, that he could be. So I'm just gonna kind of like look up stuff about local goblins that have been prominent figures in the past 10 or less years,
okay.
And if I find anything specifically that relates to any of the professions that we know about him, I'll kind of make note of it.
Yep, give me a history or a nobility.
Bet.
Now with the backing of a library, so you'll be at a +2.
All right, and I'm gonna make sure. Well, how long do we have for the evening?
You have quite a while for the evening. The records room is kind of open for a while.
So I have at least an hour beforehand.
Oh yeah, easily.
So I could go ahead and craft one of these cognitions.
In fact, you could.
Cool. I will do that prior to heading over there. I don't actually. I should probably know this, but forgot how long those last. They're not very long though. I don't think.
It's a little while, actually. Minute, either a minute or an hour.
Yeah, I know it takes like an hour to brew. Well, I guess I would make it and then I would take it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Either way,
check or whatever.
You can do the process
mechanically. Cool. And then I will go ahead and do that.
Sounds good.
So the library gives a +2.
The library gives you a +2.
And then this would get this. You said this was a knowledge history, or
this is either a knowledge history or a knowledge nobility.
Okay. History. I have a little bit more in. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do this, and then the plus from the cognition. Oh my god. I'm gonna go ahead and use my thing, my trait.
Okay.
Because. Oh, good. I guess that's not terrible.
It's
but...
better.
Yeah.
Did you already apply the stat bonus as well from your cognition?
No, I have not.
Okay. So you will find that fitting some of the descriptions that you're looking for, there is some crossover that does happen in the details. And that crossover will lead you to a gentleman by the name of Ego Drekigal.
The dude that fought Rocky?
No. Ego
more goblins.
Ego runs a small business called the Society of Security. They are a group that has worked very hard to establish a name for themselves around Knightsbridge as being the best example of how not to protect yourself. The business is literally proving to you that no matter how much you think your company is secure, they will find a way to break it. They boast that they have never failed to successfully penetrate a single company.
That's very specific wording, but that's advertisement for you, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're in the business of trying to prove that you can help a company better know how to secure themselves, the best way to do it is to prove to them that they aren't secure to begin with.
Yeah, I understand, but that could mean a lot of different things if you're very vague about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But and you said his name was Ego. Is that how is this spelled?
Ego Drekigal. Drekigal. It's very rough for even me to pronounce. IGO.
Right.
Space DRECLIGLE. DRECICLIGLE.
GLE. Okay. Cool. All right. And that's really the only name that kind of stands out in any sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody else has really gotten into this kind of business. A lot of the rest of this stuff tends to be people either basically working in a number of different fields if you're looking for goblins.
Gotcha. And I guess if there's any information about the society, why did I switch pages? Or switch tabs rather. The Society of Security. If I can find any information about that, I'll
sure. Give me a knowledge local here.
Hooray! That's a class skill.
Excellent. The Society Security is the most prominent and well-known securities company that exists.
Here?
Yes. Many of the companies around Knightsbridge use the Society of Security at some level. They may not pay for full packages, but they are very intertwined into a lot of different businesses. and theoretically know the penetration points for a number of companies.
So it's kind of like hiring a hacker to check if your stuff is secure.
Yeah. I mean, they actually, in current modern day business, this is a thing that they do. You can hire a group to come in and try to break into your business to prove like how insecure like different areas of your business actually are.
I didn't realize that was a thing, like in like physical businesses and stuff.
When you get to like moderate or larger businesses, this is a thing that will happen. And in a world where like magic is essentially technology, people are going to want to make sure like people can't just teleport in, steal all your records, and leave. That there are proper securities. And many of these companies are dealing with like valuable records or like research or what have you. And so having a service like this provides them the ability to ensure like, okay, we're not breachable by these means, you know, and sell that on paper to other companies.
And I suppose while I'm here, if I have time to look into other people, did the guy that we talked to, not the secretary, but the person that she called in, did he give us a name?
Yeah, you got the name. Hold on, I don't think I have it anymore.
Yeah, I didn't write it down.
Pallavi.
I should have. Okay, I'll look at and see if I can find any information about him. If I have time.
Was it her?
Or the? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead and give me a knowledge local though, or a knowledge nobility.
I'll do local.
Okay. Pallavi is the PR manager for why is it spacing my fucking name here? For Assurance. She makes sure that like whatever the face of the company is reflecting what they want the company to reflect as. She keeps a very tight ship. People believe in the Assurance brand. Even those people who would like insult or question it, she makes sure that to some degree, like the Assurance brand still gives them reason to think a second time about the product and how it could perhaps be better than they think it is.
That's interesting. It doesn't outright say anything about it, about her methods behind that, does it?
No, there's not with a 22. You won't find any details like that.
That's fair. I'm not going to make a sense motive check to dig deeper. I'll take it at face value. Okay. And so like nothing about her like stands out as like sketchy or like anything that
no, from her work history, like if she is the type of person that is stealing the company, she's doing herself a severe disservice. The amount of money she's probably making in PR alone is much greater than what she would probably benefit from having this device get like publicly reproduced. It would be a terrible thing for her financially, because you have access to see like her financial records versus what the estimated value of something like this would be. This could really not only ruin her career but ruin her life.
And I guess I don't know if he'd be local. Well, you did say he was local. And if I do have any more time, I'll kind of like see if I find any information about the investigator as well.
Okay. This I am going to need either an exceptionally high knowledge local or a knowledge nobility. And you got it. So you are looking through records, and the first thing you will notice is that there is very, very little that exists about this guy. A lot of cases are connected to him. You'll find that like his name exists on a number of documents for cases that are wrapped up, but it's almost like somebody went in and like deleted a bunch of information after like his name was put on it. There's like blah 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 did this, and then missing information about whatever it was that he did in any level of detail. But after a lot of like looking around, you can find a very old case. A case that was one that he had failed at. In this particular case, this was a very personal case to him. his parents ended up in a circumstance where they had disappeared for some time in the city. It was his responsibility, as he had put it to himself, to find them. And this was not very early into his career. This was probably about the midpoint of his career. He had done quite a bit of research, had been reporting it back and forth regularly with the knights and with the ministry, trying to keep them well informed. It was then that, like, you can read in the records, a lot of people got involved in the case. And the more the people got involved, the harder it started becoming for him to, like, get to places he would need to get to. You can see, like, there's, like, notes on a piece of paper, like, as he's repeatedly, like, saying, like, you need to check out this place. You need to check out this place. Please check this place. This place is important. No one is letting me in. Somebody let me in. Please let me in. And then all notes on the case go completely dead. There is not a single, like, note of any, like, of any follow-up from either him or anyone else on the case before the case is officially marked for filing about 4 years later.
Okay. I'll mark down the dates and any nouns, like the places that he was trying to get in and that sort of thing, in my journal. And
is this a case you feel like your character would want to follow up on later?
Well, I think this is something that, at least in the immediate future, it's worth looking into the credibility of this outside investigator,
Okay.
and to outright, to try to disprove him as a possible suspect. But,
Okay.
But if something of interest comes up about him later on, I would definitely be looking into it a little bit more. But I do want to, like, know these places he was trying to get into, but it also kind of coincides with what I know about the ministry. Anyways, like, as you said, but, like, as more and more people started getting involved with it, it just, you know, kind of got out of hand, and other people weren't letting him in places and that stuff.
Right.
Pretty
So
typical.
what I want you to put on your character sheet then is I want you to have the case notes of Krikor, Krikor, and Zabel, Zabel. What's his last name? Tarpinian.
Tarpinian. Pinin. Or IN. Gotcha. All right, I'll mark that down.
Okay.
And I suppose that's it. There aren't any other, and I'm assuming that, like, well, actually, if anything comes up about the about Nico, I'll make sure to make note of it. But he doesn't seem like there would be a whole lot about him.
No, there's almost nothing. What he says is pretty straightforward. You don't really even have to search. Like, Nico, you can find documentation that shows Nico is a, like, regular maintenance worker for Knightsbridge.
In the sewers and everything.
Yeah,
everything
it's noted that, like, he's got regular parrots. He's got, you know, the notes about his kid are there. Everything's pretty, like, cut and dry for him.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm assuming that I wouldn't, like, he doesn't know, like, real criminal record. Otherwise, I'd find out about.
Nope. He's about as clean as they come.
Makes sense. That's all right. Those are the only real names that I know of that are connected to this, as far as I can tell. So I'll just kind of keep studying and, like, seeing, like, following up on some of this stuff, I guess.
Okay.
If anything stands out, you know, throughout the night.
Yeah.
Until I get kicked out, anyways.
No, you'll spend a few hours here. You'll probably actually just end up passed out in the library eventually, and then somebody will ask you to take leave.
All right, sounds good.
Stop drooling on our books.
All right, so Brianna, you can meet up with I keep fucking forgetting his name. Tehran. The restaurant he has invited you to. So there aren't a lot of restaurants here in Knightsbridge, especially that would be at a level that you've probably normally been to. You've been to like the occasional inn that you've worked in, but this place is unlike anything you've ever seen. It is a very brightly lit place in a city that's well lit, not exceptionally well lit. We're not like this place is like a beacon in like the average kind of moderate sized city of light. It stands out very clearly as a very attractive restaurant. You would know that this is the kind of place that you wouldn't normally want to go to. The food here is extravagant in price. The people here that just frequent the place are the kind of people that would look down on your profession to some degree, and probably even look down on his profession to some degree. And yet there he is, like standing outside waiting patiently for you as you arrive. He looks as if he's only just a few moments ago arrived.
All right, so I go up to him and I say, Tehran, hi, it's great to see you again.
It's very wonderful to see you again. Have you had a good remainder of the day? I hope things were well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, just finishing up paperwork. Never can get away from it.
No, I imagine in your line of what you have to do for now, it can be quite overwhelming at times. I've heard the ministry is very in love with people having to sign their name on forms.
Oh, absolutely. And it'll be the death of us all. But, you know, it's just for right now. So, did you ever have to do a stint at the ministry?
No, sadly, I am not myself magically inclined. I do happen to have a few things at my disposal to help me out. And he, reaches down and he pulls out a small wand. I have a few things, and he starts kind of twirling it around in his fingers, that I like to keep on hand just in case there's something that comes up and I may have to look into something. But overall, it's not something that, and he slides it away, that I've ever really found myself a natural at. Making magic work, even without talent, I tend to find that making a lot of things work, even without necessarily the foreknowledge, is something I am rather good at. Anyway, sorry, this should not be about me. You're here. It's not often I get to have an evening like this with somebody as outwardly pleasant as you are, and what feels like potentially inwardly pleasant as you are. I hope this place is to your liking. I absolutely hate it, but I love the fact that everyone here hates me.
Well, that makes two of us.
Wonderful. Then let's make the waitstaff earn their keep. And yeah, he'll go with you inside. He has made proper reservations, but you notice that as he goes in, he gives the staff a hard time about not getting his name right. And it's weird as you're going in, it seems like he deliberately gave them the name incorrectly, because he would have had to have talked to somebody about this, verbally. And so he gives them a hard time. They eventually, get you to your seat. Dinner here is very extravagant, but they have just about anything that you can think of on the menu. A lot of high-level food is it is a lot of things that you wouldn't normally have access to. A lot of fruits and vegetables that are almost foreign to your mind. A lot of meats that would normally take you'd have to go out adventuring to slay the beasts to bring back to consume these things. Nothing on the menu is the standard fare that you would have. Everything is pretentious and has at least 5 to 7 words to describe, to like just state what the name of the meal is, let alone the description that literally tells you nothing about what the thing is because they're using like excessively large words to describe things that are like, who knows, like what is this thing? And you come from like, you know, a relatively, you know, farm background. So even with your knowledge of some of the like more out there foods, this is still like stuff that maybe people are making up to stamp on a menu.
Right.
He'll take you through like the whole spiel of harassing the waitstaff about what specials are, and they'll say they don't have specials, and he'll like do this whole like spiel on, what do you mean you don't have specials? This is a fancy restaurant. Fancy places should always have specials. And there's like a back and forth for a while of that, and he just really seems to enjoy like dicking around with the waitstaff. But once like you guys get food ordered up, he'll kind of settle down and leave the waitstaff to do their thing, and his attention like goes from being back and forth kind of waitstaff you to kind of bringing the attention solely back on you. And it, as his like attention sits, it seems like to him the whole rest of the restaurant does not exist. His eyes don't dart around to check for things. His like focus is purely straight ahead, and at the person across from him.
I must say that was some fun we were having with the waitstaff.
They do deserve it. I feel I sometimes feel bad. You know, these people are just people trying to get by, but at the same time, like, you're not going to get a lot of opportunities like this. I have to keep changing up the pronunciation of my name, otherwise they won't let me in. Eventually they'll get wise enough, but it's quite fun.
Out of character real quick, do
Mm-hmm.
they have a way of taking photographs in this world, or not really?
They sort of do. It's a rather like, there are 2 methods actually, but the first method, it would be hard to get them developed, which is the standard camera. Actual physical camera technology does exist. It was imported over from Kashran before, or not, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. We're in Sierra Savant. Regular cameras have not made it to here.
There's no wolf cameras here.
Nope. So the actual only camera method they have is, there is what's called mind etching. And that is that someone, you'll basically pay someone to like find find a great stance to look at you from, and then someone will kind of pull the data from their mind, and using that information they can kind of create a sketch of the incident to a near like picture perfect example. A lot of magic is involved in it, but it's not particularly terribly expensive. But it is like a very special thing for someone to have done.
So then what Brianna will say is she'll say, well, you better hope they don't get one of those people that can do the magical pictures on their staff. Otherwise, they'll know you on sight.
Ooh, do you think they'd ever actually do that? It's still quite expensive. I've really been hoping that's the thing that will keep this from ever happening. You know, these wealthy people don't like to spend money in any sort of fun way.
Oh, true. They say that the reason they're so rich is because they hang on to their money.
Mm-hmm. They don't let it go.
Mm-hmm.
It is very hard to get a bill paid when I need one paid, yet they all want to know what their wives are doing.
It must be interesting, your line of work.
It can be from time to time. Sometimes it's very boring. You get called in by a wealthy, maybe knight or someone else who has a lot of busy time on their hands and assume that their spouse is cheating on them. And most often the person that's hiring you is the one that's doing the cheating. But you have to keep a secret that you've discovered that in the process of watching for their spouse's cheating. And I waste a lot of time on that. Every once in a while, though, I get an interesting case like this one or some of the others that really gives me a good reason to think and gives me a lot to do. How about you? Have you been working for the ministry long?
Not too long. I actually came here to be a performer, but you need a bardic permit or license.
The good old, you need a license to sing a song.
Yeah, something about, decency laws. I don't know, but the thing is, this is sort of a they caught me performing without a license, so it's kind of a means to an end for me.
Well, you're lucky they did this with you and did decide to make you spend a good amount of time in the dungeon.
Very true.
Yes.
I'm not suited for that dungeon life.
No, thankfully, listen, I know a lot of people hate to speak like this, but it does do you some good that you happen to be halfling and not goblin. If you were a goblin, I'm sure you would not have had the same opportunity. It's quite sad, really. Those people work very hard and often get overlooked.
Absolutely. The thing is it does make a difference how you were born, even though I don't believe it should. It does make a difference.
Well, I imagine people have said a number of harsh things to you as well, coming into a city like this. They must be surprised that you're not just here to sell your potatoes.
Well, they do think that I just fell off the farm wagon.
Yes.
A lot of people just think I'm some kind of, country bumpkin, I guess.
I can't imagine how surprised some of them are, though, when you get up there and perform and really blow their minds. You have quite a talent, Well,
thank you. That's what I enjoy about performing, is I can just lose myself in singing and dancing, and, I'm who I want to be. And I wish my family understood that.
And I bet a number of people talk about how they lose themselves in you.
I find that if you are nice to other people, that they'll be nice back.
I often agree. It is important in both of our lines of work to be pleasant to each other.
And the thing that I've found is, even though I wouldn't have chosen for myself to necessarily go into the ministry, I do get to help people. And there are, people that might have otherwise not been helped just because, if I wasn't there, basically. So.
Well, I appreciate your drive and your enthusiasm. I should warn you that in time you may become soured by things as you delve deeper into the ministry. Things are not as efficient as they should be, and lots of people tend not to listen.
I've gotten that sense. Some people, when you say you're from the ministry, they treat you differently. Like, they think that I'm just going to purposely lose their file, and I don't do that,
But many have.
Yes, indeed.
Lost files, lost notes, lost entire cases. Anyway, I'm sorry, that's not what this is about. I guess I did say, though, we would mix some level of business and pleasure. So perhaps I should share with you what I have uncovered.
Absolutely, I'd greatly appreciate that.
So, Ego, the last person he sent to take a look into things is a gentleman by the name of Sterling Granville. Sterling's been working for him for quite a few months now, and he was sent out to do an investigation on the Assurance building. From what he had said, he found no points of ingress that were of any sort of concern. What concerns me here is it seems very odd, either that one, Ego would send somebody inexperienced to do this kind of job, or two, that if it was discovered, if Ego did bring on a competent employee, that the competent employee should have divulged this information and should have found this information.
That is curious.
I could say perhaps that it was too difficult to find a way. I still have not myself figured out exactly how the item left the premises. But Ego's track record is exceptional. Aside from a few tarnished points in his past, he's proven himself a more than valid member of society. So why he would hire on somebody that would slip up this big, that would create such a potentially gaping hole, is quite a surprise to me. Sterling has a good background in this. He spent some time in the ministry, got approved, and went into the field with Ego, seemingly excitedly, almost drawn by Ego's profession. So I would find it hard to believe that Sterling is not, at the very least, some level of exceptional in the field. But perhaps Ego hired him on for different talents?
Perhaps. That's interesting. And you don't hear of many goblins doing that well for themselves.
It's a bad rap, you know? Imagine, if you will, that we all have to climb ladders, right? Some of us get to start a few rungs up. Some of us have to start at the bottom. And unfortunately, for many goblins, the bottom is where they begin. And for some of them, much further down is where they begin. Ego kind of started at the bottom and fell in a hole. I can't imagine prison life did him any good. But he's managed to do well for himself, ultimately.
And I applaud that. I mean, I always admire people that start with far less and make something more of themselves. That's why this oversight, if that's what it was, that's baffling to me. That he would risk, his business to hire someone possibly inexperienced or incompetent.
I agree. I see we're on the same page here. That's all I've really been able to glean so far. There might be some more stuff that we can talk about later, but here is not really the appropriate place.
Understood.
If
I appreciate what you've given me, that I can maybe take a look at the records and see if I can find anything there.
Sure. There's more I'd be happy to share, though, if you wouldn't mind afterwards going for a walk with me.
Certainly.
Excellent. He'll talk to you a little bit more. You guys can enjoy dinner, and he will leave. He will offer you the option of two things: either going back to his place or dropping you off at home.
Just do it. You know you want to.
Why don't I'd like to see where you live.
Okay. He takes you to a rather nice building towards a good distance away from where the river meets the bridge, to a little bit to the north. If I'm looking at the map, let me kind of show you here. So he lives towards the northern middle. The bridge kind of goes straight through the center of the town. So he is a little bit to the north and very close to the river. It has a very nice, from the height he's at, he looks over a good number of the buildings. You can see the mountains to the north. His room kind of has a northeasterly view, so you can see the mountains to the north and the river that kind of winds on. In the distance, you can see the faint lights of the capital over the trees, and just kind of cresting over the horizon. And he will offer you the ability to spend the evening there, if you'll choose to take it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. as things will kind of wrap up in the evening, he'll ask a small favor of you.
Okay.
The ministry is going to have a case that might cross their desk. If you could, please let them know that you and I were, if they happen to ask about me, please let them know that you and I were out for a bit, discussing matters of business, and that I've been with you the greater portion of the evening.
Of course. I can be your alibi.
Thank you. Our mutual friend won't appreciate that you will be. Oh, where'd Ryan go?
Is the internet cut out or something?
Possibly.
Oh,
Oh,
He's back.
Yeah, sorry.
But I think that some of the notes I have will be quite valuable to you as well. And he'll reach over and slide open a drawer next to his bed and pull out some papers and set them on top of it. In the morning or later this evening, whenever you choose to leave, these are yours to take with you. I don't want this to feel like this is a professional exchange. I would have eventually made sure you got your hands on these, but I was just curious.
Well, I appreciate that. This will help a lot.
I believe it will.
And as you said, for your request, we've been together the whole night, and maybe that won't make certain people happy, but, I can attest you've not done anything untoward.
What isn't important is whether or not it makes other people happy. What is important is whether or not it has made you happy.
Very true.
And that is where we will wrap up for tonight.
All right.
So,
Wrap up we will.
make sure they were.
Literally.
let me double check something here. So for progress on this, everyone can take... God damn it, where is my chart? There it is. Nope. Wrong section. Stupid notes. Everybody can take 700 experience. That includes XP for role-playing. I'm sorry, 800. Everyone can take an additional 100 for recap, because I think everybody got a little piece of recap in there. In addition, something for you guys to think on for next session. The notes that you are getting from Tehran, they are... They are private research notes that are stamped with the seal of the Society of Security. These are the last few years of notes regarding Ego and other employees' research into the building. Each time it is listed that there are no known vulnerabilities and that an aerial scan has been done, as well as what do you call that? The area around from different building levels have all been inspected, and they found no breach potential of any sort from these. All the windows are properly secured, all the doors are properly secured, all the surveillance is in good activity, watching over the correct places. There is no way, according to these notes, that it should have been possible for this thing to escape without either someone getting in without the alarms and without the cameras taking note of them? Or there's no way that anything should have been able to take something out otherwise? And this is like rock solid proof that every one of Ego's tests have all proven that this should be an impossible feat. But maybe there's something more to it to look at. There's quite a bit of notes here. These are very clearly to you, Elizabeth, and he makes it very clear, not things that you should share with anybody you think might share them with someone else. And that he does expect to have them back at some point in the near future.
Okay.
But you guys can think on that for a bit. Any questions before we wrap up?
No,
No, I
I
don't
don't think I was in mind.
I got that. I had a
Excellent.
crying baby.
No problem. Sorry.
Mhm.
Do you have any questions before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Very good session. I had a lot of fun. Good night, guys.
Good night.